Patch 26.2 is a solid patch overall, but I can't say I'm fully satisfied with. There are a few changes I was hoping to see that just didn't make it in. Maybe Riot is saving those for the next patch. But let me know in the comments, which champion do you feel like is missing from this list, or who deserves a bigger nerf or a bigger buff? This patch isn't about flashy reworks or champions breaking the game on day one. It's about Riot very deliberately reshaping the jungle ecosystem, deciding who is out of the jungle efficiently, who clears faster, who scares harder, and who slowly gets pushed out of the role entirely. Some champions are being nudged back into relevance, while others are quietly losing their jungle identity. So let's break down every jungle relevant change in patch 26.2, why it matters, and what it means for solo queue going forward. Let's start with the most interesting one, Aatrox jungle. Riot is increasing his passive bonus damage scaling from 4 to 8% up to 4 to 12%, and more importantly, his Q monster bonus damage is getting buffed from plus 15 to plus 25. This is not a random buff. After Riot slowed down jungle clears across the board, Aatrox was hit harder than most champions. His clears became even more punishing, and falling behind early felt unavoidable. Aatrox has always struggled in the jungle for one main reason. His early clears were slow and unforgiving. Missing a Q meant losing tempo, and his sustain wasn't good enough to recover. These changes directly target that problem. The extra monster damage smooths out his first clear significantly, especially on multi-camp pools. The stronger passive scaling also makes early skirmishes around scuttle or invades far more forgiving. This doesn't instantly make Aatrox an S tier jungler, but it does make him viable. In slower metas or tank-heavy comps, Aatrox jungle becomes a legitimate bruiser option with strong mid-game impact. Master E is getting two buffs that matter a lot more than they look. His armor growth is increased and his Q on hit modifier jumps from 65% to 75%. This directly improves both his clear speed and survivability. Higher armor growth helps him survive early pressure and invades, while the stronger on his scaling massively boosts his clears and warning once he gets item. The scary part is that none of his weaknesses are being addressed. It's just that his strengths come online faster. He still hates hard crowd control, he still struggles against coordinated teams, but in solo queue, this pushes him back into the dangerous space where one early fight can decide the entire game. If you already hated playing against Master Yi, this patch is not going to help. Aria jungle is receiving poor quality of life buffs. Q bonus monster damage is increased and her E monster modifier goes from 1.9x to 2.25x. In practice, this means faster clears, smoother early petting, and less reliance on perfect kiting. Daria has always been a high skill jungle pick with incredible map control, but her early clears felt awkward unless you were extremely practiced. These buffs lower that barrier without making her oppressive. She will hit key level breakpoints faster, contest objectives earlier, and punish immobile laners even harder. This is Riot clearly saying, yes, Daria jungle is intended, and yes, we want you playing it. Viego is getting buffs that directly increase his carry potential. His attack speed growth is higher, his Q on his crit ratio goes from 50% to 70%, and his Q active crit ratio is increased as well. This significantly boosts Viego's mid to late game damage, especially with crit leaning build. Clear speed improves naturally thanks to higher attack speed. The real power shows up in extended fights and reset. Once Viego starts snowballing, these changes make him even harder to stop. He shreds objective faster, punishes mistakes more brutally, and completely takes over fights if he gets momentum. He's still not blind pickable, but in the right hands and the right drops, Viego is going to feel oppressive again. When jungle takes a targeted nerf to her passive monster cap, dropping from 5 to 10% AP down to 3 to 5% AP. Riot isn't deleting Van jungle, they are slowing her early clears and sustain, still scale well and still met objectives later, but her first clears are riskier and less forgiving. That said, with Dusk and Dawn still being incredibly strong on her, I honestly wouldn't be too scared of these changes. That item is one of the main reasons Van became so dominant in the jungle in Season 16. I would absolutely keep playing her. Jace's Q bonus damage to monsters gets cut in half. Realistically, this will stop most people from playing Jace jungle. His clears were already niche and tempo based, and this kills what little efficiency he had left. Jace jungle was only rewarding in high ranks where players could fully utilize his strengths. In lower ranks, even before this patch, it was questionable. After these changes, playing Jay's jungle just for fun is not a good idea. He's mechanically demanding and the payoff is no longer there. Lilia gets hit on two fronts: passive monster healing, scaling, and Q-AP ratio. This slightly reduces both her sustain and damage, especially in early clears and skirmishes. She is still playable and still strong into the right compositions, but her margin for error is lower. You will feel this most when getting invaded or forced into early fights. Later players will need to respect early aggression more than before. Malphite jungle is getting quietly but meaningfully nerfed. The damage is reduced at all ranks. The base damage drops from 80 to 240 down to 60 to 200. DC mana cost increased from 50 up to 70, and his W monster damage modifier is reduced from 2x to 1.8x, meaning to 180% from 200%. Individually, these changes don't look huge. Together, they slow his first and second clears, increase mana pressure, and make it harder to brute force camps without perfect sequencing. Malphite jungle has always been about reliable engages and dull objective fights, not raw carry damage. These nerfs don't remove him from the role, but they make him more punishable if he falls behind. That said, top lane Malphite is still extremely strong, honestly overturned. I don't think these small mana nerfs are enough. I personally don't like him in the jungle, and in top lane, he remains too good. What do you think about that? Nuno's Q cooldown is increased, his W max damage is reduced, and his E damage per hit is lowered. This directly impacts his objective control and early pressure. He's still great at securing dragons and terras, but he's slower, weaker in fights, and easier to punish. Nuno remains a utility jungler, but his days of overwhelming early tempo are being toned down. Will this be enough? Honestly, probably not. When a champion like Nuno is sitting at a 54% win rate across multiple ranks, something is clearly wrong. I almost forgot about their jungle. Their jungle is also getting a very direct and targeted nerf. His passive monster damage modifier is being reduced from 180% down to 120%, and that is a massive hit. This doesn't just slow his clear, it fundamentally breaks his jungle identity. Their jungle only worked because his passive allowed him to clear camps quickly while staying relatively healthy. With this change, his first clear becomes slower, his HP drops much lower, and his early tempo completely disappears. This essentially removes Zed from serious jungle consideration. Then Zed will be fine, but jungle Zed becomes extremely punishable, especially into aggressive early game junglers. What makes this even more interesting is that Riot didn't touch Talon at all. Talon jungle stays exactly the same, and in my opinion, he is simply a better version of Zed jungle right now. Faster clears, better map mobility, and more consistent early pressure. If you are a Zed jungler player, this patch is telling you very clearly: either swap roles or swap champions. Those are all the jungle relevant changes in patch 26.2. What do you think? Who should be on this list and who should get buffed next? Diana with the Dusk and Down build completely flew under the radar, so definitely try her. Talon jungle remains unchanged and in my opinion is just a better version of Zed jungle, and Nuno probably needs bigger nerfs than this. He's simply too strong right now. I will let you decide in the comments. A comment and a subscription are greatly appreciated, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.